Applies this here. Okay, we're up to Halacha Yomi, page 430. Halacha number 2. When Tisha B'Av is on a Sunday, so Shabbat is Erev Tisha B'Av. That's going to happen this year. Tzidkatecha is not recited during Mincha of Shabbat because on Tisha B'Av there's no Tahanun. So therefore, also on Shabbat we won't say Tzidkatecha. 3. When Tisha B'Av is on Shabbat or Sunday, one may continue to eat meat, drink wine, and eat as much as he would on Shabbat, even if the last meal. Even if it's his last meal before the fast begins. Let's say Shishra'i, Shudash Shishit, Saturday afternoon, and then Motzei Shabbat is Tisha B'Av. So the last meal for a lot of people is the third meal. So can I only eat one cooked dish like we regularly do on Erev Tisha B'Av? No, you could eat even more than 2 cooked dishes. You can eat as much as you want, eat meat, drink wine. It's Shabbat, there's no limitations. In fact, one is not even allowed to refrain from eating what he normally would on Shabbat because of the morning. However, one should try to finish the meat and wine a few minutes before sunset. 4. One may even say Zemirot on Shabbat Hazon as he would any other Shabbat, even if it's the 9th of Av. One may not recite Kinot on Shabbat Hazon. During Shudash Shishit, one may eat together with friends and recite a Zimun. On Sudam Afseket on a regular year, when it's not Shabbat Erev Tisha B'Av, you're not allowed to sit with friends at a Sudam Afseket. You're not allowed to do Zimun with your buddies and the meal before the Shabbat, but since it's Shabbat, you're allowed to. 7. One may learn Torah on Shabbat Chazon like you usually do, even if it's 9th Av. 8. One should not stroll for pleasure on Shabbat to Shabbat. The Chidmar Chidah says that's the one thing we should hold back from. That is not in the honor of Shabbat, really. Anything to do with the honor of Shabbat, don't hold back. Have a nice meal for the honor of Shabbat. Say Divrei Torah. Sing for the honor of Shabbat. Gulaish, okay, walking around or seeing your buddies Shabbat afternoon with the kalaskas and the kids in the park and then this, that he says you should try to avoid. That's not infringing on the kavod of Shabbat, and also it's showing respect for Tisha B'Av. 9. Many Ashkenazim have the custom to remove the parochet from the Aron HaKodesh even when Tisha B'Av is on Shabbat. However, Sfaradim only do it when it's during the week. 10. The synagogue may not be prepared for kinot by moving around the seats before Shabbat is over. You gotta wait till Shabbat is over. Okay, 11. Tisha B'Av on Motzei Shabbat. Either 20 minutes after Shkia or after the Chazan recites Baruch Hu, you gotta remove your leather shoes. If one did not pray yet, he should say Baruch HaMavdil Mikol Shachol before removing his shoes. 12. Havdalah is recited at the conclusion of the fast, not on Motzei Shabbat. You hear this? When you have Tisha B'Av, Motzei Shabbat, you don't do Havdalah Motzei Shabbat. You're gonna do Havdalah Sunday night when Tisha B'Av is over. The custom is to light a candle before reciting Megillat Eicha, and when seeing a candle, you say Borei Marei Ha'esh. So basically, everyone's only going to do Borei Marei Ha'esh Saturday night, and the Kos and Havdalah is going to be Sunday night. Already Sunday night, you're not going to do Besamim. And Motzei Shabbat, you can't do Besamim, it's Shabbat. Shabbat, we don't do Besamim. So the only thing is Morei Ha'esh Saturday night, and then Kos Havdalah is going to be Sunday night. It's proper for the Chazan and the congregation to recite the bracha on the fire. Have everybody in mind to fulfill the obligation to do Chazan's bracha. Women who are at home should also recite a bracha on the fire. 15. One who is unable to fast because he's sick must recite Havdalah as he normally would, even with a cup of wine, but without Besamim. He may even say Havdalah for others in his house. On Motzei Shabbat, if he noam is omitted. Okay, now we're going to move on to laws that apply about mourning the temple throughout the year. Okay, number 1, we're building a home. Part of the wall must be left empty, without paint or plaster. That's the Shulchan Aruch and the Sunnah. We learned this before. Okay, good. One who does this is guaranteed that his house will stand forever, and nothing bad will happen to it, says the Kaf HaHaim. 2, one should leave a space of Amma by Amma, 48 centimeters by 48 centimeters of empty wall, unpainted, unplastered. This place should be squared, not shorter or longer on one side. It should be a nice square. Okay, so now, why do we see many people don't do this? He says it's possible that many people don't fulfill this halakha because some poskim say you're allowed to not leave an empty space if the wall's plaster was mixed with sand, and is therefore not the type of wall the Gemara is referring to. However, even though there's such an opinion, we should be strict and do it today nonetheless. 4,
this is only what you
build, right? Let's say you bought a house, and that's how it is, right? They say, let's say you forgot to do it when you build your house. He says you should scrape off the paint or the plaster from the wall. Some people have wallpaper or some people have paint. You should go out of your way if you can. And you bought the house and you built the house, so you should go and scrape that part off. Now, where should it be, this space? This space should be preferably left opposite the front door, so that one should see it every time he walks into the house. However, if one cannot do so, he should try to leave the space above the door, or as close to the door as possible. Some people, what do is they leave it opposite the door, but you know where they do it opposite the door? There's some furniture blocking it, so you can't even see it. It defeats the purpose, not the spirit of the law. Yeah, you fulfilled it, but the point is you're just supposed to see it. And people are supposed to say, oh, wait, you missed the spot. Yes, I know. We have to remember that we don't have this is not our eternal dwelling. We have to have the temple for us to feel fully relaxed and comfortable. And people who built their house, they could chas v'shalom forget. What do we do in the wedding? In Meshkechech, break the glass. Same thing in our house. We have to have some portion that's broken in order to show that we're not fully there yet. Number 5, living empty space next to the front door of the house suffices. One doesn't have to leave an empty space in each room of the house. Next one, 6, the empty space should be the plain wall, not painted over with a different color, even if the paint is black. 7, one who hangs up wallpaper is also obligated to leave a part of the wall unfinished. 8, a Beit Midrash, the synagogue, does not have to leave an empty space. In remembrance of the Beit Midrash, it's only our personal homes. Okay. 9, according to some poskim, one does not have to leave an empty space at your workspace, your office. 10, one who bought a house from a non-Jew is not obligated to make an empty space on the wall, since the non-Jew was not obligated to leave one. Okay. Well, if you build your own house or you bought it from a Jew, so then you would be obligated to do so.
So he didn't do it, and you bought it from him, and you have to do it?
Yes.
What's breaking?
Yes. 11, one who bought from a Jew should make an amah by amah if he knows the original owner did not buy the house from a non-Jew. Let's say the original owner was a Jew. He built the house, and then he flipped it to you. So he didn't do the job. He didn't do amah by amah. You have to do amah by amah. Okay, what about someone who's renting? There's mahloket. Some say he's obligated. Some say he's not obligated. One who's stringent is praiseworthy. Okay. 14, the Chachamim instituted that one should not prepare a meal completely. Rather, you should leave out a dish, right? Part of the service. There's 2 forks, 1 knife, 1 spoon, 3 plates, 1 for salad, fish. Always when you serve at the table for a regular weekday meal, you should leave out part of the service. However, some say this only applies to a large meal, such as like a celebration, but not a meal that has a regular day. The one does not have to leave out a dish on Shabbat Yom Tov. Many people are lenient in this custom for various reasons. But Halacha, if you're having a nice, let's say, kan chorim, you're having, I don't know, on a Sunday birthday meal, everybody invited, and you put out nice plates, nice service. You should leave out one of the service, and when people say they need new plates, you should go and bring them new plates. You shouldn't give them already everything ready, one plate on top of the other, because that's not remembering the Churban Beit HaMikdash. 17, women should not wear all their jewelry at once, and should leave out one piece of jewelry at least, says Shulchan Aruch. Okay. 18, some poskim say this applies even in Shabbat and Yom Tov. However, the others are lenient. But let's say a wedding during the week, a lady gets dressed up to go to a wedding during the week, she should leave out one piece of jewelry. She shouldn't wear everything. Okay. 20, well, there's an Ashkenazi custom to put ashes on the groom's head before or at the chuppah ceremony. Most Faradim don't have this custom. It is customary for the Chatan to break glass under the chuppah after the completion of Sheb Brachot to commemorate the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. However, some people have the custom to break the glass before the Sheb Brachot. In any case, one should make sure that everyone does not shout Mazal Tov immediately after the glass is broken. They should wait in silence for a short moment so it doesn't appear that they're saying Mazal Tov for the commemoration of the destruction of Beit HaMikdash. They have to make a pause. They have to say, right. 22, a glass cup should be used. If one doesn't have one, you can use crystal or clay. 23, in 1865, there was a big plague in Jerusalem. People were dying. Ashkenazi rabbis at the time, they made a ban against excessive music at weddings. They felt by lowering the amount of rejoicing, they'll be showing that we remember the destruction of Beit HaMikdash. However, what was the ban? The ban was, you can't have a band. You can only have one man band. That's it. One guy with a keyboard, and that's it. Ashkenazim uphold this custom today, even in the new sections of Jerusalem. Sephardim never accepted this ban upon themselves. They may therefore have a full band performing at their weddings, even in Yerushalayim. Baruch Amen.